Hi, welcome back to my channel Rosa Technocrat. Today we are going to discuss about Fortigate Fortianalyzer logging issues. So if you are having an Fortianalyzer and the Fortigate firewall and not able to connect and you are getting any errors, any problem or anything between the connectivity, then this video might be helpful for you. Let's start. So this video came in my mind based on one of the requests from one of the YouTube content viewer, Pratik. I thought, okay, let me make a video about troubleshooting FortiAnalyzer and FortiGate connectivity issues. So this was the error we got. So it's basically not an error. Instead, the connection status tells you about like there is an connectivity problem between Fortigate to FortiAnalyzer. So this screenshot is from Fortigate telling that there is no connection to FortiAnalyzer. So we will talk about different issues that you can face while connecting to FortiAnalyzer and different commands that can be used to troubleshoot the connectivity between FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer. So the possible issues that I have noticed between FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer are like no connection to phase, okay, no connection to phase. So on your FortiGate, you see no connection to phase. You see unauthorized. This is also like connectivity is there, but it's not authorized. Okay, so that is about unauthorized. These are related to the initial setup, basic setup. So once the setup is done, then you should not be able to see the issues. While the other issues, these are more of operational issues or uh, you see based on experience or based on the logs that you are analyzing. So these errors you will see later on, but these are related to the initial setup of the Forti analyzer. So generally you will see like you are not receiving, no event logs are being received from FGT to phase, or you might see like specific events cannot be received. Like you see all the traffic logs or you see all the event logs, not the other way around, not I mean vice versa. So some logs you are able to see, other logs you are not. That is like specific events cannot be received. You have a requirement where you want to filter some logs and you want FortiGate should not send these to FortiAnalyzer. So that can also be there, or that can be a requirement rather than issues. So we can say this can be a requirement as well. And send only specific events to FortiAnalyzer while dropping all others. Some logs are missing, so this is similar to this. And can't see older logs in FortiAnalyzer. So in FortiAnalyzer, you see only specific uh, logs from a specific date and time, not older or maybe 1 month older, 2 month older. So those are not seen, or very few recent. Maybe you can see 1 week, but not able to see older than 1 week. So these kind of different issues that you see on FortiAnalyzer or between FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer. Okay, so let's start. First thing is like what is the default status? So when you configure a FortiGate or your FortiGate is up and running, so if you go under fabric connectors, you will see there logging and analyzing. Under that, you see this is the default option. So basically, FortiAnalyzer default status is disabled. Okay, the same setting can be retrieved from the CLI by using get log FortiAnalyzer setting, and you can you can see here status is disabled. So that's the default setting on FortiGate where the FortiAnalyzer is disabled. Once you have decided to enable the FortiAnalyzer, so that is same place, I mean under the same option, you have to change the disabled to enabled. Okay, and then you have to specify the server IP address. So server IP address basically will be the FortiAnalyzer IP. Okay, phase IP. So server IP will be the FortiAnalyzer IP. Here you have to specify the phase IP. Once you specify the phase IP, you have these other options like upload options. How frequently you want FortiGate to upload the logs to uh, FortiAnalyzer. So this is upload option from FGT to phase. Okay, the logs should be uploaded in real time or every minute or every 5 minutes. So if you want real time, then you have to select the option real time, or like in a bulk, like all the logs from last 1 minute will be uploaded, or like every 5 minutes. Allow access to FortiGate REST API. So FortiAnalyzer has got some capabilities to query the FortiGate device for multiple status of interfaces, counters on interfaces, and multiple things. So that can be retrieved by using the REST API. FortiAnalyzer will only be able to query FortiGate using REST API if you enable this option, allow access to FortiGate REST API. Just to be sure, all these options are in version 7.2 or higher. So there might be a slight GUI change if you are in older versions like 6.4. So 6.4 is almost end of support very soon. So I always make all my content either on 7.2 or 7.4. Okay. These GUI options is specifically for 7.2 version, any version. Okay. Coming back. So allow access to FortiGate REST API we discussed. Then we have verify FortiAnalyzer certificate. So verify FortiAnalyzer certificate means when FortiGate tries to connect to phase in return presents a certificate back to FortiGate. Presents a certificate back to FortiGate. If this certificate is not valid, if this certificate is not valid, maybe it is expired or it is not matching the host name of the device, and if it is not issued properly, so any issues with the certificate, then FortiGate will not allow the connection. So this is verify FortiAnalyzer certificate. This is considered to be a security practice to verify the SSL certificate. You might disable it if you don't want this verification, but as a best practice, we should have it enabled. So once you do these options, click apply, your FortiAnalyzer will be configured. Once you enable, okay, so not my colleague, but the content viewer or Pratik was having the status as no connection. So no connection means there is a connectivity issue between FGT and FortiAnalyzer. And what is required for this, we will be discussing in further videos while doing the troubleshooting. Okay, so when we say no connection means what it checks. So FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer needs port number 514, TCP and UDP to be open from FortiGate to FortiAnalyzer. So FGT to phase, FGT to phase. Okay, FGT to phase. You should have port 514 opened if there are any firewalls in between or any network device in between. So on this device, you should have allowed port 514 TCP UDP. If you need like syslog registration, all works on TCP, and only for the logging purpose UDP or TCP, it can be anyway. So why it's TCP and UDP? So TCP we call it as reliable, and UDP is unreliable. So if you want like handshake or SSL secured reliable, then you need to have TCP enabled with SSL. And this is UDP is unreliable. That's the only difference. So more safe and better is TCP, but this can be configured as well. Okay. So in Pratik case, it might be that you have not allowed communication on port 514 between the FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer. Okay, so now we know what is required for connectivity between FortiGate. That is only 514 on TCP and UDP. Okay, once you enabled it and FortiGate sends the request to FortiAnalyzer, you will see this device as unauthorized. Earlier it was no connection or like nothing will be here. As soon as you specify the IP address, select this, apply, and you there is a button here that gives like test connectivity. So uh, the status will change to unauthorized. Unauthorized means your request has reached to FortiAnalyzer, and in the FortiAnalyzer during the initial setup, you have to authorize or approve the device. Once the device is approved, added into the FortiAnalyzer, so that is a one-time action, and then you don't need to do this anymore. It's an initial setup you have to authorize, like in case of a new firewall or new FortiGate, you have to do this. Sometimes, because of issues, you may delete a device on FortiAnalyzer and re-add it. But the care should be taken because when you delete the device, possibility of deleting old logs as well. So that we'll discuss later on. That's a separate topic, how to save the logs, delete the logs, that we can discuss anytime in further future videos. So for now, let's focus on this. So once the device is added, your request reaches to the FortiAnalyzer and it is waiting for device to be approved or authorized. You will see the connection status as unauthorized. You log into your FortiAnalyzer, go under unauthorized device option. You can see my FortiGate will be listed here. So you have to select this device here and click on authorize. So once you authorize the device, the status on FortiGate will change to connected. Okay. So once this is corrected, that means your FortiGate to FortiAnalyzer connectivity is established and working fine. And then you have to start enabling the logging of the traffic to see further logs onto the FortiAnalyzer. Now, what do you think? Like, what should be the steps for troubleshooting, or what is required? So let's talk about flow of troubleshooting. What all things you should check. This is after the initial setup. Let's say your FortiGate 40 analyzer connectivity was working properly and you had some issues later on, anytime during the operation or maybe during the initial setup itself. So the first test is verifying 40 is 40 analyzer reachable. Reachability check can be done by two ways, but this is 100% you have to do. If the port 514 is not reachable, then the logging will not work to FortiAnalyzer. Ping is basic step, so I just asked to do a ping if the FortiAnalyzer is reachable. But in organizations having complex environment or many places, you will see they might not have allowed the ping. In those cases, you have to do a telnet on port 514. And if port 514 telnet is not working, that means your connectivity is having a problem. Either you need to check your network routing or any firewalls in between, and you have to get this port 514 working. Once these checks are done, then you have to see if the certificate of the FortiAnalyzer is a valid certificate and if the error is not because of the certificate. And third is device authorized on fetch? If not, please authorize the device and then check the logging. And then, of course, so many things on to the actual logging of the events so that we can check. Okay. So in my case, from my FortiGate, I see I did a ping. I was able to ping the device because It's I don't have a firewall in between here. Then I did a telnet on port 514 and I can see the FortiAnalyzer is listening on port 514 and the FortiGate is able to connect. Okay, so as we are talking about logging, let's know the process that are responsible for logging. So before 7.2.4, these are the process responsible for logging on FortiGate. syslogd and miglogd. Syslogd and miglogd. So syslogd process is responsible for syslog server. Okay, syslog server, syslog server, and miglogd is the kernel, like the generating logs and all. And syslogd is responsible for all logging. After 724, it's either syslogd either syslog or phase. All logging is taken care by this syslogd process. Okay. After 724, they divided these two process into three process: FGT logd, syslogd, miglogd. So FGT is for phase. Okay. Syslogd is for syslog server, and miglogd is the kernel process that takes care of all logging mechanism. All logging mechanisms, it generates the logs and responsible to hand it over to one of these process. So now what uh, we can do while troubleshooting. Okay, so this I am all showing from the CLI, and then we can do it in lab test. Of course, you know, all my videos are practical, real, and based on real issues. So we can have and we can test in the lab as well. So on the firewall, you can issue the command execute log FortiAnalyzer test connectivity, and you should be able to see like what is the status to the device. So connection is allowed. This is my FortiAnalyzer. Because the connectivity is established and working properly, I am able to see the disk usage on the FortiAnalyzer, and the certificate check is certificate of FortiAnalyzer valid and serial number is this. Okay, so this gives us the connectivity status between FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer. There are several debug commands which gives every information between FGT. So you can use diag test application FGT log D. So all the test application commands exist on FortiGate for different process. So you can have diag test application and there can be so many, or it's all about other process as well. So in this case, because you know we are troubleshooting the connectivity to phase, and I told FGT logd daemon is responsible for phase. So we have to do diag test application FGT logd, and this is in test level, like what kind of information you need. It can be 1, 2, 3, so many numbers are there. So if you do diag test application FGT logd 1, you will get all detailed information. Detailed information means fortilog, that means connectivity to FortiAnalyzer. FortiAnalyzer is configured globally and is enabled. FortiAnalyzer IP is this, configured as to send real-time logs, and with SSL configuration means the verification of certificate and reliable. And what is the current state is FortiAnalyzer is connected. Server log status logging is allowed. Okay, and going via this VDOM. And what else useful? This is all about FortiAnalyzer. Okay, this is not that important. Then coming back to the filters. So all the filters that are configured for this, I mean what kind of traffic will be forwarded to FortiAnalyzer. So traffic logs, virus logs, web filter profile, IPS, anomaly, VoIP, DLP. So by default, when you just configure a FortiAnalyzer, all these categories are enabled. That means every log is sent to FortiAnalyzer. But as I was talking about, like we can do exclude certain categories or exclude specific logs to be not sent. That can also be done. So this enabling all this comes under filter option. So there is something called filter on FortiGate. So if you use filters, then we can disable, enable a specific category or a specific log or based on a specific log ID. If we do diag test application FGT log D9, so under 9, you can see based on different VDOMs. So VDOM root, okay, the phase is connected. What is the service? Service is OFTP. So the logging service between FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer is called OFTP. The OFTP from a FortiAnalyzer perspective. And on FortiAnalyzer, this is the daemon itself or the process itself is OFTPD. So what is the server IP? The FortiAnalyzer IP is this, and the socket is connected from this IP. That means you are reaching FortiAnalyzer from this source IP. So this helps you to know what is the source IP that you are going. Generally, it takes based on the routing and from the management window. Okay, one more thing. Now, if you have a multi-VDOM firewall, okay, then the reachability to FortiAnalyzer has to be from the management window. From where? From management window. Okay, this has to be taken care in case of multi-window. So these previous commands all I shown are based on diag test application FGT log D, and then I was using some integer number here, 1 or 2. So if you don't put any integer here, it gives you all the integers that are possible after this command. So you can see here, you can dump almost all statistics about the traffic communication between FGT and phase. So you can see, so log setting, statistics, any logs drop due to rate limit, subscribe login for remote sockets. So you can use not combination, you can use these integers to know the status and the statistics towards FortiAnalyzer. Okay, so before these debug commands, I'm sorry I gave the debug commands first. So, okay, we verified the telnet status, we verified the ping status. Then it is, let's say if those are not working, or if port 514 is not able to troubleshoot, then not able to connect. Then what you need to do? You need to do a diag sniffer packet. That means capture the packets on FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer to confirm if you are receiving the packets from FortiGate to FortiAnalyzer. So in my case, I did a sniffer and I see the packets reaching to FortiAnalyzer, so that is working fine. Same, we were using fgtlogd commands on FortiGate. Similarly, we have debug commands on FortiAnalyzer as well. So we can enable the debug on FortiAnalyzer by using diag debug application OFTPD. This is what I was telling, the service is also known as OFTPD on FortiAnalyzer. So diag debug application OFTPD, and similarly a integer number that tells what level of debug you want and the device from which or device for which you want to enable the debugs, because the FortiAnalyzer can have hundred of devices configured or added to it to send the to receive the logs. If you just enable without a filter, without a IP address, in that case you can get huge logs. So you have to specify the IP address of the sending firewall or the name of the sending firewall. So once you enable these debugs, debug inner, so you can see the debug logs or the packet flow going in between both the devices. This screenshot is once the connectivity is established. So here you will only see the keep alive is going on because the connectivity is already established. So during the connectivity, you might see received request, handling request, or authenticating request. Those things can be there. Okay. You will be able to see the current status of the FortiGate on FortiAnalyzer itself. If you log into FortiAnalyzer, go to Device Manager and under Logging Device, you will be able to see my device added and the status is up, and it will also tell you when was the last log received. On FortiAnalyzer side, the test application command is diag test application oftpd 17 to check what is the like log per second or log rate, okay, log rate that you are receiving. That can be checked using oftpd 17, and you can see 1 minute, 10-minute rate limit you can see here. Okay, so let's start our lab. Theory part is over. Let's go to the lab. Where is my lab? I think I'm not logged in. Let me log in. I'm logged into the device. I have my firewall here, and then I have got a FortiAnalyzer, and we have the CLI access to both the devices. Great. So let's enjoy the logging with labbing. So we can say logging with labbing. Okay. So if you under the FortiGate, we have to go log and report log settings. If you have a multi-VDOM, then this option will be in the global VDOM. So here, I'm here in my firewall now. Let's go to the settings. Where is the setting? Security fabric and fabric connectors. If you go under fabric connectors, you will see here logging and analytics. Go logging and analytics, edit, and you can see my Forti analyzer is connected, and you can see how many traffic logs are sent or the statistics that is sent to FortiAnalyzer. So this is connected. Let's have some fun. Fun in terms of what actually happens when we delete it and we reconfigure it. Okay, let me do this. I have disabled it. Okay, I have disabled it, and on device on the FortiAnalyzer also I will delete it. We will see what actually happens on at every stage between. So I have deleted the device because I want you guys to see it live what's going on. Okay, now this is all part of troubleshooting. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to edit, change the status to enable. That's my device. And but I want to show you what actually happens in the debug also, because I already explained everything in the PPT. Now I want to see you the troubleshooting part, that is oftpd log level debug level 8, and my firewall IP is 10.5.2900. Okay, and diag debug enable. Let us see what actually happens when I click on OK. Okay, so that's what is good while doing the troubleshooting or while doing the debugs. Okay, so when I clicked the device and said OK, I got an error. Fortigate is unauthorized or denied on FortiAnalyzer. Would you like to open a window and authorize Fortigate on FortiAnalyzer? So that means in 7.2, I will say OK, and what it does is it gives me the login screen to Fortianalyzer. Okay, so either I can do this way. Oh, wow. So now there is one more error. The device cannot be found. You know why? I will tell you the reason. What I did was the device was already added and I removed it from Fortianalyzer, right? And Fortigate thinks like I already have the certificate of the device because of the previous information. So it thinks, okay, I have the details, but it's not able to connect. It thinks the Fortianalyzer still knows me. Cool. So we have one more problem here. Okay. Anyhow, so still it says unauthorized. So what we have to do instead of focusing on this, let's go to Fortianalyzer. No, before that, let's understand the debugs. I had enabled debugs at the same time on Fortianalyzer. Okay. Let us understand what the debug says. Let's go from the beginning. As soon as I clicked apply, so it said, oops, it's continuously. Let me disable the debug, then it will be easy for you to understand and see. Let's go on the top. Okay. We had enabled the debugs for this particular IP and it says OFTP try accept SSL connection. So SSL connection came incoming on this socket. So SSL request came from Fortigate. SSL request was created and they did the certificate verification between Fortigate and Fortianalyzer. Once the certificate is validated, it says handle login request legacy. This is the host name and this is the version of the firewall that I'm sending, and this is the details about firewall it receives. So you see here login request. Login request is seen under OFTP handle session once after the SSL connectivity. Okay, we can see the request came here. All this HA group request came. Where is the deny message? It keeps on sending the request. So it keeps on sending the request, right? You can see it keeps on sending the request. But because device is not added or not authorized, so it's not able to continue. Okay. Now let's go to our Fortianalyzer, refresh the page, go to device manager. Sorry, it's here, unauthorized devices. So if you go to unauthorized, you can see the request came here. If you go under the device manager, if you go to unauthorized devices, you will see this device is listed here. So you have to click on authorize and you have to select which EDOM you have to add and click OK. So once the device authorization is performed, you will see device authorization is done, success 1. It will show you that device is under logging device instead of unauthorized devices. Go back to Fortigate and now check the status. So you see the status is now connected. Okay. So this was one of the issue. The other issue is all connectivity related. Okay. So now you know how to add a fabric connector and how to authorize the device and how to troubleshoot the connectivity issue. Now, I just want to tell you about few more things like the logging setting that you can do. If you go under log and report log setting, so you have all these options like what you want to log in. You want to log allowed traffic, log denied traffic, or you want custom events to be logged only. So these settings can be done here. But more important, this is all about the system event log setting. If you want to send all your traffic logs, so for traffic logs, you have to go under a firewall policy, and on the firewall policy, under each firewall policy, if you have log allowed traffic, all sessions enabled, or security events enabled, then only the traffic log for particular firewall policy will be sent to FortiAnalyzer. Otherwise, only system events will be sent if the logging option is not enabled under the firewall policy. So that means logging can be controlled for individual firewall policies. Whichever firewall policies are having log allowed traffic enabled, traffic logs will only be sent for those policies. So this is also related to why some logs are not seen on FortiAnalyzer, or some firewall policy logs are not seen on FortiAnalyzer. You need to have a check whether log allowed traffic is enabled under the firewall policy, and if you want each and every traffic to be logged, then it has to be all sessions. Otherwise, it can be security events. So security events means any violations related to the web filter profile, antivirus, or any other security profile will be logged as a security event. Or if you can select all sessions. Okay. Going back to the CLI, I already told you about uh, all these commands, the debug. Okay, and you can also see other debug commands that I had shown you. fgtlogd I explained, fgtlogd9. Okay, this diag test application fgtlog, and if you press enter, you will be able to see all these values or the integer levels that can be done. So you have to select the right one that you want. Diag test application fgtlog d and then 9. So for in my case, I want to see what is the connectivity and going from which source IP to which destination, what is the service. So I can see here the socket is connected. I did number 9, okay, which are related to the connectivity. Rest others are related to the statistics that you can use them based on your requirement. So coming back to the PPT, we have discussed like no connection, unauthorized. Okay, let me give you some idea about filters. So these all requirements are related to the filter. So once you have configured a FortiAnalyzer and you have enabled it, there are some filters that can be applied to FortiAnalyzer. One of the available filters under the GUI are these. So you can enable traffic logging for these specific, or you can customize all. Let's say you have all and these ones. But now you want to enable all events, but you want to filter out one particular type of log, for where you can mention a log ID or any criteria. Based on criteria, you want to say you don't want to send this log to FortiAnalyzer. So for that, there are filters available on FortiAnalyzer, but on Fortigate. So on a Fortigate, if you go under config log FortiAnalyzer settings under CLI, okay, under CLI. So there are some settings or filters that are not available in the GUI. So if you go config log FortiAnalyzer setting and you do so, that means this is the configuration that you have done. Set status enable, server and certificate verification enable. And this is the config log FortiAnalyzer, config log for yeah, config log FortiAnalyzer filter. So there is no filter here, right? Now you have to configure the filter. So what you will do? Set, okay, set severity. You can you okay. Let me show you what are the default filters. So full. under the filter, if you do config log FortiAnalyzer filter, these are the default ones. That means everything is enabled. Forward traffic enabled, local traffic enabled, multicast traffic enabled. So that means logging for all these is sent to FortiAnalyzer. So now you can filter the logs based on severity. So if you say you only want this particular logs at this severity, so then you can change the severity. So the filter can be based on which uh, log level you want to be sent. So whatever category you select, all the logs from that level will be sent. So let's say if you select, the default is information, right? So where is information? At the last. So when you select information, so all the logs from emergency alert till information, so that means all are sent except the debug one. If you select error, that means emergency alert, critical and errors will be sent to FortiAnalyzer. So this is one of the filters that can be done. Okay, so you can use these for the filters. Then we have something called config freestyle. This is important. So freestyle is not related to these already available. Config freestyle, okay, and you can do edit. I want to do like a filter for a condition based on my requirement. Edit one, okay, some, and I have to do set what I want to filter. Set filter. So now you can specify condition. You want to filter based on source IP, based on destination IP, based on destination port. So you can use this freestyle filter to exclude the logs not to be sent to Forti analyzer based on the condition you define. So this is called freestyle filter. So if you Google about freestyle, you just need to see, or you need to say Forti analyzer freestyle filter. This is what you need to search for more details. So if you say config, you will get using syslog freestyle filters or FortiAnalyzer freestyle filters. So you can filter based on log ID, based on source IP, based on destination IP, whatever condition that you define. So either you can say include or exclude based on this. Now this is the default, and then freestyle filters are based on the custom requirement. Okay, coming back, hope I have covered everything. Of course, not everything, because there are so many different other topics related to FortiGate and FortiAnalyzer. But as part of this video, it's only about the connectivity troubleshooting. Okay. Hope this was useful for you. See you in my next video. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.